All right, we are back on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. Carter, how we doing, man?
Man, it's good. It's a Thursday. We got some NFL football about to kick off. It's been a good week. The kids had soccer practice last night, so I went there. My son turned 2 on Sunday, which I think I talked about Monday's show. So just been a good week. I have all three kids actually with me right now. So just bear with me if I have to dip out or anything like that. Like I'm playing dad right now as well. You guys want to say hi real quick? All right, come here. Say hi.
Hi.
Hello.
She's the only one that wants to right now, but hopefully they'll keep it down and stay chill for me. If not, I'll take a pause and let you kind of run the show. But just hanging out, man. It's been a good week. Really excited for this weekend. So wouldn't you know it, my daughter Avery, who's here, she has soccer at noon on Saturday. Really perfect timing. Just really doesn't overlap with any games I want to watch at all. And then Sunday, my oldest daughter Hayden has volleyball at 5:15. We're going to celebrate my son's birthday Saturday with some of the family. So really good week, man. How's your week going?
Oh, it's going good, man. Nothing too crazy. Just trying to figure out good old technology, and just trying to get that get that figured out. So, nothing too crazy. Winding down the week, getting ready for Football Palooza Sunday. Like a typical weekend, it doesn't get much better than this.
No, absolutely not. And bear with me. I'm going to try to keep myself a little more PG than I normally do with the youngins here, but I'll still give you my unfiltered take on everything we talk about tonight, I promise.
All right. With that being said, let's dive into it.
Yeah, let's get into some social media stuff I've seen over the past couple days and things like that. So, University of Tennessee, they're having a great year. They've paid allegedly. They offered Nico $8 million over his 4 years in NIL money. And if you're a Tennessee fan, some of that NIL is going to come straight out of your pocket. So here's what's dropped in the past couple days here. So 10% is going to be added to all ticket sales as a talent fee in order to help pay the players. I assume this isn't going to the NIL collective. I think that would be weird or like kind of hard to do. So I assume this is just going to the base salary that they're going to start paying in 2025. I don't remember how much it is per kid or anything like that, but this is what's going to happen. Everybody that said that, college athletics, college football is making so much money, some of that money needs to go to the athlete. I don't disagree with you. The problem is the colleges and the universities and the conferences aren't going to make less money. That's just not what they're going to do. They will not do that. No business is ever like, hey, like minimum wage goes up. You think McDonald's doesn't raise the price of burgers? Like, yeah, that's what happens because guess what? The CEO still needs to make $100 million a year and the shareholders still need to earn their dividends. Like all that happens is it gets passed on to you. All that money that is going to go to the athletes is going to come directly from the consumer. That's how it works. And so 10% increase in ticket prices, and that 10% is going to go directly to the athletes. I don't have a problem with it. I think ticket prices are astronomical already, but if you want to go and you want to watch these games, this is what you're going to have to do.
Well, anytime in business, whenever operating costs go up, and I know they just don't eat that cost. They shove that cost over to the consumer itself. But realistically, when it comes down to this to this thing at Tennessee, it's an arms race with the NIL, the 20 million or whatever that's going to get allotted. The big thing that people have to realize here is that it's not only Tennessee's going to do this, it's going to be every other SEC school. The Big Ten's probably going to dip their toe in there because everybody needs resources to win. This is NIL out in front in the SEC, in the Big Ten, I think the Big Ten will be right behind them in this. You have to have resources to win.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. So
Yeah, absolutely. And so, like, this is just what's going to happen. You, as the consumer of the product, are going to pay more for the product when the price goes up. And the price is going up because they had a lot of free labor for hundreds of years. And that labor is no longer going to be free. And they aren't just going to say, okay, we'll make less money. Like, no business does that. It's never happened. It's never going to happen. So, I mean, eventually maybe it happens if people stop going to games, but that's not happening at a wide level. I mean, attendance is down across the board, across all live sports, because the viewing options at home are so robust and easy and better. But they're still going to increase the price of TV packages. They're still going to increase the price of tickets because a portion of the proceeds is going to the athletes now. And so there's nothing else. I mean, I'm not shocked at all. And I agree. I think every major program is going to implement this. Every major program is going to do this because why not? Like, you mean to tell me there's not 105,000 people that aren't going to pay an extra 10% to go see the Buckeyes play on Saturday?
There'll be people lining up.
Exactly. They're still going to sell out. So until you reach a point where you're no longer selling out, they're going to keep jacking it up until people stop going. And as far as I know, people aren't not going. People are even paying more than the face value. They resell tickets on Ticketmaster, on StubHub for far higher than face value, and people still buy them. So,
well, just look at it this way, Carter. We were down and around for the spring game. Look at the revenue generator that the spring game itself was, because we went to the Minnesota Sports event. Look at how many people from out of town just came to watch a glorified football practice.
Yeah,
80,000 people. It was live at noon on Fox.
Yeah.
Major TV providers had these games. ESPN had a game. They had a game in almost the major time slots every Saturday. Notre Dame was even there.
Yeah, Notre Dame was on Peacock and NBC. Like, there's so much value in having live sports because, and here's what people don't want to talk about. Sports is the only thing people actually care about watching live. And there's nothing else. Everything else I can watch on Hulu the next day. So I don't care.
And also when it comes to this argument, if let's say you're a Tennessee Vols fan and you don't want to go, you don't want to get on the boat and ride the boat to the stadium, there's going to be 10,000 more people that will gladly take that ticket.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, if you are a Tennessee Vols fan and you don't want to get on the boat, what is wrong with you? That is one of the best experiences in the world. You get to ride in on a yacht, park it, and fucking go to the game. That's awesome.
I have family that lives down there at Oak Ridge. They have a whole slew of boats that tie up for the game. Mm-hmm. They go down there. They tailgate. They do going down to Tennessee, going to Knoxville is an absolute fantastic experience. And you have game day experiences like even going to Ohio State. There's all kinds of stuff. You can go to the varsity club. You can go to the B-dubs on Wayne and High or Lane and High. It's just, there are so many people that are lining up that don't have tickets to the game that will go. Now, and how many times are some of these programs that are pushing for these top spots in college football that are, out of the race essentially at any point in time? Like when South Carolina beat Clemson on that 3:30 game. Mm-hmm. It's just, they were like 4-7 or 5-6 or something like that, and it was a packed rocking house on a 3:30 on a Saturday when they beat Clemson.
Yeah, because you go for the experience. Like, I mean, people go to these games. Like any Saturday in Columbus, Ohio, there's 250,000 people on campus. 250,000 people don't fit in that stadium. Barely half of that. Not even half of that fit. But the rest of them are just there to be around it, like to just experience that energy and to just go out and have a good time. And then the bars are packed and everybody's watching the game and everybody's having fun together. and everything like that. And it's different, man.
And whenever it comes down to the viewing experience, for me personally, if I'm gonna hit up a Notre Dame game or something like that, I'm okay with going to tailgate and then going back to somebody's house to watch the game. That's also not a bad option either. There's people out there that do that, for the Ohio State spring game. That's what we went, tailgated, then went to B Dubs, went and seen Barton, hung out.
Yep.
So,
absolutely, man. It's just that's what it's all about, is the experience, and as long as that experience holds true and stays, then sorry about that, but then you're gonna have those people, and so I don't think it's gonna stop. What are you saying? Hi now. Sorry. All right.
It's all good. Carter's wrangling the rascals around, but yeah, whenever you have the game day experience on top of anything of that sort at a major college program, it's second to none. People want to show up and see that and want to be a part of it.
Absolutely, man.
And then we got also the boosters and things like that put on things, and there's all kinds of events that go on around the stadium. Like you have the coaches tailgate, you have the skull sessions, you have the band, you have all the pageantry that what makes people fall in love with college football and all that passion. So
absolutely, man. And so speaking of passion, this guy right here that I'm about to talk about has to be one of the most passionate Kansas State fans in the history of any fans, okay? Because he put this out here, and now I'll warn you, it's graphic. And I saw this a couple days ago, and I've seen it from somebody else in the Florida State fan base, and he didn't follow through. But according to Bill Schneider himself, not actually Bill Schneider, by the way, but if Kansas State loses to BYU, this guy is going to shove a beefy 5-layer up his.
Why? What are we doing,
bro?
I get it. You live in Kansas. There's no one around. The people don't even want to, mate with each other out there. It is, 2/4 of hills have eyes. Out there in Kansas, there's like cornfields and there's just nothing out there. And the one thing that you have is a beefy 5-layer burrito. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
Bro, not the beefy 5-layer. Come on, man. Like, that's sacred, all right? but
I
no.
Can't, who does that? Is he looking for a Taco Bell deal?
And maybe. Hey, Taco Bell, shout out. Like, go ahead. Give him a deal. Hey, give him a free beefy 5-layer if they lose, so that he can do it on camera for you. I don't know if Taco Bell wants that, but
that's something that is not on the. That's not on my. That's something I don't want to see live. That's something I don't want to see ever.
No, absolutely not. But I mean, here's the thing. I feel like this is the year of like people doing an outlandish shit. Like the Florida State guy with the red Solo cup full of dog shit really set it up. Now every fan base is going to be doing this. You're going to have guys that are just looking for that viral moment, looking to, go off. And like, hey, I'm sharing it on our live stream right now. Obviously it's working for them. But the thing is that, is this going to curse Kansas State? And we'll talk about that game here in a minute. But if they lose, somebody's got to follow through. Like, you can't keep saying this stuff and then your team loses every week, like the Florida State guy, and then you just disappear. Like, somebody's going to have to pay off on these outlandish things they're saying. And I think this guy, I don't know who he is. Obviously, he's hiding behind a fake profile. Like, Bill Schneider is a legend in Kansas State coaching history. So clearly that's not actually Bill Schneider. But if they lose to BYU this weekend, which is a very real possibility, somebody's going to have to pay off on this. And I don't know this guy, but I think if I was a fan that was going to tweet something outlandish like this, I would have to be fully ready to be the first one to actually pay off when they lose. Because it's been proven what happens if you don't. Like, your team's going to be cursed. Like, Florida State's cursed. They can't win until that guy eats a red Solo cup full of dog shit.
This is along the lines of, I get the passion in the fandom here, but we've got to draw the line somewhere. Okay, you want to eat dog shit? More power to you to pay up on the bet. You start messing with the Taco Bell menu items, you're gonna have a problem, because you know what? Taco Bell is not the greatest fast food option out there.
No,
but it gets the job done.
It has its moment, right? Like, when it's Taco Bell time, and it's not like 11 a.m. on a Tuesday, like 2 a.m. on a Saturday after going to a night game at Notre Dame or at Buckeye Stadium or wherever. Like, Taco Bell has its place, and it serves that demographic perfectly.
And
but
it would have been in more taste if you would have just said, "Hey, let's have a Diddy party."
I hope he's got $1,000 worth of lube and oils ready.
Hey,
like Diddy. But I mean, hey, more power to him. He loves his team, and he's very confident. Now, when Kansas State loses to BYU, I'm gonna need to see that same energy on the live video.
I am not watching that.
Oh, I won't watch it, but I'll make sure that I know that it happened. Like, I have enough degenerate friends that'll watch it that they'll be like, yeah, he did it.
Oh, yeah. Chris Drew at Minister Sports is definitely watching that. Richie Williams is definitely watching that.
Richie's going to send it to me.
He's going to be like, he did it.
I'll be like, thanks, man. I don't want to watch. But speaking of people that are taking it up, never mind. That's a pause. Hold on.
Yes.
Bryce Young. Is Bryce Young the biggest bust of all time?
I say no.
I say no as well, but I think there could be an argument to be made.
Well, the issue I have with the Bryce Young thing is that the Teppert guy, that is the owner in Carolina, is an absolute psycho. Whack job. So,
yep. 100%.
I'm not shocked. Like the reports that came out that the coaching staff, Frank Reich's group, I believe, wanted to draft CJ Stroud. He wanted Bryce Young, so he got Bryce Young. Just because you're successful in business doesn't mean you know anything about football.
Yeah, no, that's been proven time and time again.
And the Haslam family with the Browns finally got the hell out of the way, and they're at least, better than last place, but who knows this year. But this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, though. Some of these owners in the NFL think they know something, or they watch the college game and they say, this guy put up this many stats. He did this. He did that. Why can't he do it for my team? Well, you have to understand that the college game and the NFL are two totally different monsters.
Oh, very, very different.
And
if you don't know that, you probably shouldn't be making any personnel decisions, honestly.
And Teppert, great businessman, but I
read somewhere he's like the third richest owner in the NFL, which will buy him some time. But like, NFL owners are going to get real sick of his shit so fast.
Well, also, it makes players not want to go to your team in free agency. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody for years avoided Cleveland. They avoided it like the plague. They avoided Detroit. They avoided Arizona for a while. Yeah. And so we've got a lot of owners out there that have been, labeled as something that, they've got to change the narrative, like, going to the Bears or the Bengals. The Bengals extremely cheap. The Bears extremely cheap. And, you have these issues when it comes.
The only way to change that is to change ownership, right? Like, the Bengals are going to be cheap forever because they don't have the cash to not be. Like, the reason Jamar Chase can't get a deal done is because he wants guaranteed money, and the Brown family doesn't have any more money to put into escrow. They put all their money into escrow for Joe Burrow. So you want $100 million guaranteed? I don't have $100 million cash to put into escrow for you. I'm sorry, I don't. Like, I'm that's just, the Browns are poor. Like, they're cash poor. And a lot of their net worth is tied into the Bengals, which is great for your net worth because that's an asset that's going to continue to appreciate. But it doesn't do anything when it comes time to put money up for contracts. Like, you can't continuously take out loans against the value of the Bengals to pay these players. And so the only thing that's what changed for the Browns is the Haslams are really, really cash rich. Like, they have oil money. They have Pilot Flying J money. Like, they can continue to pay Deshaun Watson all these signing bonuses and not worry about if he ever plays a game and open up cap space every year. And they can continue to do it. And they'll do it for the rest of time because they have more money than they know what to do with. And it's the same thing with Jerry Jones, same thing that Tepper should be able to do. But some of these organizations, the Indians are a prime example. The Dolan family, that all they own is the Indians. That's why they can't ever have a payroll more than like $100 million a year. And $100 million a year is like what the most profitable guy gets paid on the Yankees. And so it just, that can't change for the Bengals. They're always going to be a poor franchise until somebody else owns the franchise.
Well, the Guardians could generate they could generate a lot of revenue because if Washington changes the team name, that could generate some revenue. I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
They
need to go back to the Indians.
Yes, I agree.
And I will buy all the gear again. I haven't bought gear since they switched names and it's not because of anything, but I think the Guardians is a stupid name. That's it. Like, I don't care. I think they should be called the Indians. There's not a Native American tribe in the world that had a problem with that name. Now, the original Chief Wahoo was a very racist depiction of an Indian, but they fixed that. And they got rid of the Chief Wahoo years ago and started just wearing the C. But it's the same thing with the Redskins. The Redskin tribe has come out and said, no, we want the Redskins back. Like, no, the only people that had a problem with those names were white women named Karen. Like,
well, I'm just saying, like, look at Florida State, like they have
a great relationship with the Seminole tribe.
Yeah, with Chief Osceola, and like, that's great. Like, at Florida State, it's really hard to get the people going right now, but when they're good, they're doing the war chant, and he rides out there on the horse and
one of the coolest things ever.
And throws the spear into the ground. I mean, at least he hasn't embarrassed himself like USC's Trojan that tried to stab the turf.
I
just that is
USC's full of stupid people, so that makes sense.
Well, it's
but anyways, back to the topic at hand. So, who do you think the biggest bust ever is? Then if you say it's not Bryce Young, then I'll give you my opinion on why it could be Bryce Young after this.
I say Ryan Leaf.
Okay. Interesting, because he didn't even go 1 overall.
I just, he was drafted that high. Now, number ones, I see it, Jamarcus Russell runs a quick case, for being there.
That's the clear-cut one that everybody goes to. And I'm not saying he's not. That might be the biggest bust of all time because everybody fell in love with his, like, 100-yard pass from his knees or whatever. And he has one of the best stories ever where a team gave him a blank VHS tape and told him to go study the tape. And he came back and they asked him, did you watch the tape? And he said, yeah, no, those plays, like – and he started describing plays, and they're like, dude, it's a blank tape. You obviously didn't even try to watch it, or you'd be like, there was nothing on it. And that's a very Johnny Manziel of him, who is another one that if he didn't go like 22nd overall, could be in the conversation for biggest bust. But the reason I will say Bryce Young is in the conversation right now he can fix it. I'm not saying it's only year 2. He's still got time to correct this. But the reason Bryce Young's in this conversation already is because of who went number 2. If CJ
Yeah.
Stroud didn't go out and look like a franchise quarterback his rookie year and look like one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL his rookie year, nobody's giving Bryce Young this much crap.
Well, I think that they went to CJ Stroud went to a team that had pretty decent infrastructure. Nobody gives Lovie Smith any credit. They completely turned the roster in, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, now they have Stephon Diggs. The Texans are trending in the right direction. The Panthers,
for sure. They had Laramie Tunsil. They had pieces in place.
It's one of the biggest draft fleeces of all time because the Bears made out like bandits.
Theoretically.
I mean, I think they're in a better place.
Than who?
They're in a better place than the Panthers. The Panthers might not win a game this year.
No, I agree with that. I agree they're in a better place than the Panthers, but I wouldn't be shocked if this time next year we're talking about Caleb Williams as the biggest bust of all time. And the main difference between Bryce Young and Caleb Williams right now is Caleb Williams was given all the tools that CJ Stroud was given. And if he doesn't perform, that's a bigger bust to me than this.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that, but I think Caleb Williams needs multiple starts in the NFL. So
yeah, I mean he's only started 2 games. I get it, but I could see it. But yeah, so what do you do? What's next for Bryce? Like he's obviously not starting. Andy Dalton, the Red Rockets, going to go out there and try to get it done, and he's a veteran guy. He might get a couple wins. Who knows?
Well, the problem you have with Bryce Young now is you completely tank his stock when it comes to tradability because it's going to fall into the Justin Fields thing because, the Steelers picked up Justin Fields for half of nothing.
Yeah.
They're trading these first-round quarterbacks for half of nothing because they're not working out.
He could very well turn into Josh Rosen real quick.
Yeah. Potential landing spot for him is I wouldn't be shocked if the Broncos aren't able to draft a quarterback in the first round again. I could definitely see Sean Payton putting a package together to go get Bryce Young and seeing if he can fix him because it's pretty similar to body style to Breeze, and I think that could Bryce Young being a somewhat accurate passer could help in the pass game in Denver.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I just think it would be really quick to move on from Bo Nix because you put a lot into Bo Nix and he's just a rookie. One place that I think would be really interesting, and I think this is a place that, given their situation right now, could move on it quickly, is Miami.
Yeah.
Right. If Tua is going to be out for the foreseeable future, if not forever, because of concussions, you really want to ride with Skyler? Why not go get Bryce Young for a third?
Yeah, that's a pretty good spot. But also, you could see if up there in Cleveland, if a certain quarterback gets suspended again for
if he gets suspended again, we're cutting him and we're gonna just tank. We're not getting Bryce Young, I promise you.
I was thinking for the Browns, Bryce Young, but if you are Miami, Mac Jones is still out there. Hey, you could probably get Mac Jones for some practice jerseys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's the backup right now. Where at Jacksonville, absolutely, you can get him for half of nothing.
So, you got Mac Jones out there. There's Tyson Badgett, the backup in Chicago. There's all kinds of options out there as far as NFL backups go. I just don't know if it's time to pull the plug on Bryce Young in Carolina. just yet. But if Carolina tries to move on from him, that would be a very telling sign on who is running the show there. I would assume that it's David Tepper, just being unhinged at the helm there. And I don't think once you have an owner that walks in day one that is making personnel decisions, it is a good fit for the franchise. So we shall see what's going to transpire going forward in Carolina. I think it's something that to definitely take a second look at. And if the Tepper thing, like last year when they played in Jacksonville, David Tepper threw a drink on some fans for some people trolling him. You're an NFL owner, and if things don't get straightened up there in Carolina, I could definitely see the NFL stepping in and saying what's going on here.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I agree. And I wouldn't be surprised if owners pushed Roger Goodell to do that, because I don't think he's very well liked amongst the ownership group. But
yes.
But so, in other major news coming out recently, obviously we talked about it a little bit on Monday, and the Florida boosters and everybody, the big money guys at the University of Florida got together and got a package together to get Napier out. And allegedly, they've gotten the money together to also bring in none other than Mr. Lane Kiffin himself.
This is not. I don't know where the people on some of these sites are getting this information, because I don't think Lane leaves Ole Miss. I just don't think it happens.
I think for $15 to $16 million a year, he might. He definitely thinks about it.
But I think Lane could get that at Ole Miss.
I don't know if they can pay that. I don't know. I don't know what the money is like at Ole Miss. I know what the money is like in Florida. But here's the thing. I think this is Florida's ultimate goal, and they have the guys to pull it off. They have, and Lane Kiffin's no stranger to leaving a big time program. Remember, he left in the middle of the night in Tennessee to go to USC.
And you've seen how well that worked out for him. Now, this is just – I don't think Lane leaves for another college job. Now, if Todd Bowles keeps stinking it up at Tampa Bay, which, I would –
Aren't they 2-0?
Yeah, they're 2-0, but it's week 2.
Yeah, that's as good as you can be.
So – I think the only way Lane leaves Ole Miss is for an NFL job.
That's fair. I don't necessarily disagree. I just think, and here's the thing that not a lot of people understand or know is, and I get it, Florida has had a rough run of things in the past 15 years. A lot of bad hires. Charlie Weiss as offensive coordinator is a terrible one.
Yes.
Dan Mullen, terrible. Like, you can go down the list. They've had a lot of bad hires, which led to that.
If we go down that list, you have Muschamp, Mullen, McElwain, Urban Meyer.
That was a great hire.
Until they ran him off.
Yeah.
I'm sticking to that. I'm sticking to it.
That's fine. I know different, but that's fine.
I'm sticking to the Urban got ran off, and I think he got disinterested in Florida.
Urban was very uninterested at the end, for sure. But it wasn't anything to do with anybody that the the program didn't run him off. The fan base didn't run him off. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was bugging me.
That's what you're doing right now.
So we've gone down the list. But here's the thing.
But my point that I wanted to make was I don't care what anybody tells you about what is a good job in college football. Florida is a top 10 job in college football still to this day.
I think you could make that argument 20 years ago because I think things change.
What's changed at Florida?
The lack of success for the last 15 years.
Okay, so name 9 college programs with more success in the last 15 years.
Then Florida?
Yeah.
Ohio State.
Okay, 1.
Georgia.
2.
Alabama.
3.
Clemson.
4.
I would go Oregon. Chip Kelly.
That was over 15 years, but yeah.
But they had a little bit of a dip.
Yeah. And their infrastructure doesn't even touch Florida's. But okay, let's say they're more successful. That's still only 5.
USC took a dip there, but Texas.
Yeah, USC in the last 15 years, no. Texas in the last 15 years.
I'll
put Texas up there because it's definitely a better job than Florida. So 6th.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I would roll. I think you could roll. I think you could roll Utah in there.
Okay, stop. More success on the field, maybe, but you're not putting Utah as a better job than Florida. That's just not.
I'm not saying it's a better. I'm not saying it's a better job. I'm just saying
you can't name me 9 programs. All right, 8. That's enough. You can't name me 9 programs with a better combination of success on the field, NIL, infrastructure, athletic director, money, program history. Like there's not 9 programs better. So like there's definitely not 10. But you can name. I agree. Ohio State, Bama, Georgia. Clemson, I don't even know if I put Clemson above them. Their recent success helps, but their history and everything like that doesn't.
LSU.
Michigan, LSU. Yeah, Michigan, LSU. You could probably put above them. Stop. Seriously. All right, that's enough. Sorry. Michigan, LSU, Notre Dame, you could put in the same conversation. But outside of that, USC, yeah. Texas, for sure. But, I mean, that's it. Like Ole Miss doesn't even hold a candle to what Florida's accomplished.
I think Ole Miss was trending in the right direction with Hugh Freeze.
Hey, stop it! Come on, guys.
And we got that.
Sorry.
Maybe Florida State, not here recently, but
yeah, I mean, but Florida's still a better job than Florida State and Miami.
Now, Miami's trending in the right direction.
I agree, but there's not many jobs like Florida. Like that's just it. Just trust me on that. Like,
when it comes to resources, Florida. Texas A&M's probably top dog when it comes to resources.
Yeah, just resources though. Yeah, but I mean they both like Florida. A&M's got more resources for sure. Probably just pure money, proximity to talent. They both are right up there. The only difference between the 2 programs is just success, and Florida's had far more success.
Now that because whenever I seen Lane was on here, now. Let's talk about how important the off-season calendar is on this. Because signing day is December 4th, right?
Sounds right. The early signing day, yeah.
Okay. So Ole Miss is probably going to be a playoff team, correct?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I would say their odds are probably better to be in than out at this point, yeah.
So, Ole Miss is a playoff contender. So, those games are right before Christmas, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so.
Yeah. They start like the 18th or something like that, yeah.
So, after signing day, the transfer portal opens up, right? for one time this year. So when it comes to Lane leaving, you mean to tell me if he takes Ole Miss to the playoffs, he's going to bail on him? No kid in America would trust you.
Nah, so listen, this is how that goes. I can already tell you. I already know the argument against that.
There's Lane no Kiffin way.
Here it is. I'll tell you exactly what he says. He goes to the recruits, not the Ole Miss one. Fuck those guys. He doesn't care about them. He might contact them and be like, hey, I'm sorry, but this opportunity, blah, blah. But he goes to every recruit that's like, yo, you left. And he's like, yeah, but when an opportunity like Florida comes along, you can't pass that up. Like, this is such a special place. We are going to do such special things here. We are building something that nobody's going to, like, you know what Saban did at Bama? That's what we're doing at Florida. And I couldn't pass up the opportunity to do that. So, trust me, I'm here for the long haul. And, dude, Lane Kiffin's left in the middle of the night everywhere he's ever been. So,
and I think that was a different time and a different Lane Kiffin. Because it's a I think Lane's in a different place in life.
I mean, maybe it is a different guy, but I've seen what I've seen, and I believe that if the money is right and everything's in place, there is not a soul that would turn down the Florida job outside of the people that are already at the bigger programs like Georgia. Like, you can't get Kirby Smart. He's not leaving Georgia. You're not getting Ryan Day. Probably can't get DeBoer anymore. Dan Lanning is a pipe dream just because I think he's so invested at Oregon. So Kiffin's the one guy. Like, you can go after Urban Meyer, but I don't think he wants to coach.
I think Herbsky is still pretty happy being on Big Noon Kickoff. I
think he looks at the landscape of college football, and maybe in 5 years when it changes again and it's like, you know, more structured, he might be interested when he's 64 years old to come back. But right now, with the wild, wild west that it is, I don't think he has any interest in coaching right now. So
I think Urban Meyer has zero interest in it. I mean, the guy is, you know, he's going to be able to sign up for Social Security soon. What makes you think he wants to go deal with NIL?
Bill Belichick's about to die, and he still wants to coach.
Yeah, but look at Bill Belichick and look at Urban Meyer. Does Urban even really make the decisions, though?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. What, you think Shelley makes the decisions? Shelley makes one decision, and that's, can I swipe the credit card? And as long as it swipes, she's cool.
Yeah, I don't think Herbsky's coming back.
I don't think he is right now. I'd be surprised if he didn't ever come back, though.
I don't think he's ever going to come back. I don't think.
But let's get into the slate for this weekend. Let's talk a little college football this weekend. Obviously, Kiffin is not confirmed to Florida yet, but I think it's a possibility. So who do you have on upset alert this weekend? Because I got a list here, and I think there's a good chance of a few upsets.
Looking over the list, I think Georgia Tech, Louisville, and definitely BYU, the Cougs. Because you're playing at elevation. Going to BYU at night is not going to be a fun task for Kansas State. They've struggled as of late. BYU, they're going to be all hopped up on no, they can't. No caffeine, my guy. They're going to be hopped up on the caffeine-free Diet Coke. So I think Kansas State is something to watch for.
Yep.
As far as Texas A&M, Bowling Green, they got close with Penn State. That is to be determined. I think Bowling Green should.
They just almost beat Missouri.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't be shocked. I think Bowling Green. Well, first of all, Bowling Green plus 22.5, I think, is a lock. I don't think Texas A&M has the offense, especially without Wegman if he's still out. I don't think they have the offense to blow Bowling Green out. So I think plus 22.5 is a lock. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I could see it.
The one team that I can't believe is a dog. It's because they're a West Coast team. Is Cal.
Yeah.
I think Cal's playing really good defense, and I think defense travels as long as they don't turn it over. I think Cal in the Florida State debacle. If Norvell loses this one, I think it's curtains, definitely curtains. Not as him getting fired, but just on the season, you just might as well write this one off.
They might go 0-4, and if they do, I might have to go down to Atlanta and make sure Snaps is okay.
Snaps, just keep him away from dog shit in a Red Solo Cup.
Right. But the other one, I saw Clemson, North Carolina State. How do you feel about that one?
Clemson should roll.
I agree. North Carolina State really disappointed me 2 weeks ago when I thought they might be able to put a game up. And then Florida fans, you're favored. You're favored against Mississippi State. This is a great day. What great news!
What great news this is. I got distracted there. Fireman Fred is about to do the JTS Jets on Thursday Night Football. That is kicking off. The Florida Mississippi State, I think Jeff Lebby is the Mississippi State's just not very good this year. Jeff Levy's got to completely rebuild that. Billy Napier's coaching for his job. But then again, I think you let Billy just coach the season out. I don't think you fire him mid-season. I think you just make the change.
The only reason you fire him mid-season is if you hire somebody. Like if Urban Meyer takes the job and comes in mid-season, then maybe you fire him. But otherwise, you just let him take the L's all year long because there's no – I mean, I guess you could bring an interim in just to make it look better. Like, yeah, we lost all those games, but, 8 of them were with an interim coach.
But, yeah, it's just – it is –
I don't know. I guess – but they're already having discussions behind closed door and already conducting a search for the next coach because they know Napier's gone at the end of the year. So it's not like they have to wait to fire him to start searching. So they're already making calls. They've already talked, I'm sure, to Urban and things like that. And Urban told him no. But I think, I would be shocked if Mississippi State covers the 6 points even. But crazier things have happened.
Yeah, and the Napier thing, I don't know if it's going to be – I just don't know. Why fire him after Mississippi State?
No, you'd wait till after Georgia or something.
Yeah, something. Also, you got another interesting game on this slate is Oklahoma, Tennessee. I think this is one of the most interesting matchups of the weekend.
Oh, absolutely.
The Sooners, Josh Heupel, Heisman runner-up, national championship winning quarterback, was fired in 2014. Him and Jay Norvell, Bob Stoops had to fire them. And Josh Heupel has came out and said that's the best thing that's ever happened to him. Now, rolling forward on this ordeal, you have Heupel going up against his alma mater, and we've talked about this on the show before. Coaching at your alma mater is not it's just not good. It's not good. It hardly ever works out for anybody. So because eventually all college football coaches get fired. So I think Tennessee rolls in this one, and I don't think Heupel takes his foot off the gas at all.
No, and I think when you look at it, what it comes down to is I think Venables' defense is going to be ready, but I just don't think they have the personnel to stop Nico in that offense. I mean, that offense is humming. But this will be a true litmus test for Tennessee to show me if they're actually for real. On the other side, Jackson Arnold has looked okay. I mean, he hasn't been that impressive. Really hasn't lived up to the hype with them essentially benching Dylan Gabriel for him, leading to Dylan Gabriel going to Oregon. And I think Tennessee rolls. I think they cover the 7-point spread, and ultimately, I think they show the world that they might be for real.
And I think Heupel will run it up on him if he gets the
Yeah.
chance. I don't think
Yeah.
he's calling the dogs off. So, um, moving on next,
Yeah.
the men of Troy go up against Alex Orgy and the vaunted Michigan Wolverines.
This is what everybody in LA is doing right now. Just
I can't believe it's not double
the
digit
spread's
spread.
gone down. It was at 6.5 a couple days ago. It's at 5. Hammer that bitch. USC
And
is gonna roll. I promise.
I think Miller Moss has a day. I don't think Michigan can keep up with him offensively, regardless of what happens. That's
No. Alex, let's have an orgy, is going to throw 10 passes, complete 4 of them for like 24 yards. Like, they don't have the offensive line to do what they did last year. They don't have the defensive line to do what they did last year. Will Johnson's great. The other corners aren't.
yeah.
Like, it's just they're not a good team. And USC, I believe, is a good team. USC's defense will hold Michigan below 14 points.
And USC being able to play defense now just takes that offense to the next level. They beat, the Fighting Brian Kelly's. That's all I see out of this. I think USC probably beats them
I would
by
be shocked. I would be shocked if USC doesn't cover. I mean, absolutely
Yeah.
shocked. And I'll be the first to admit it on Monday when we break it down. I'll be the first to admit that I was wrong. But I don't see a world in which USC doesn't cover this spread. I don't see a world in which USC doesn't go up and win by, honestly, 3 scores. Like, Michigan's bad.
Yes, and then moving on to another Big 12 intriguing matchup. It is the battle of the old dudes at quarterback. Camera.
Did you real quick? Did you see this stat that the combined age of the 2 quarterbacks in this game, Utah and Oklahoma State, is like 49 years and 8 months?
Yes.
And the combined age of one of the NFL games, I forget which one, and it might have been the Panthers when they thought Bryce Young was starting. I don't remember. But the combined age of an NFL game was 44 years and like 5 months.
Yeah, that's what is it?
Absolutely ridiculous.
Cam Rising is 25 years old.
Yeah, and then the Oklahoma State guy's like 24.
Yeah, it's just
It's
we need to stop with this. Although Oak State is getting favored, I like I'm not sure if Cam's going to start or not. He's got them broken fingers on his throwing hands. So
he might be back next year for Utah.
Yeah, medical redshirt. Yeah, 30 years old, 30-year-old starting quarterback. Yeah, great. Thanks, NCAA.
But so my big thing is this a preview of what could be like the Big 12 championship game?
Yeah, it could be. Kansas looked suspect against UNLV.
Kansas State got blown the fuck out. Or no, Kansas State blew the fuck out of Arizona. But
yeah.
Kansas State might lose to BYU this weekend, and it'll be, who knows? I think Utah and Oklahoma State have a good shot to make the playoffs. I don't think both will, but I think either one could.
I think you'll get one team out of the Big 12, whether it's Oklahoma State or Utah. Yeah. And there's something about Whittingham teams that they just play great in the month of November.
Yeah, it's good coaching.
Yep, they are solid teams. So I like Utah. So
yep, I do too. I like Utah in that game. Kyle Whittingham's a great coach, and not that Gundy's not a good coach, but Kyle Whittingham, I feel like, has had more success, and just he's going to come up big when it matters.
So with that being said, moving on to the last segment of the evening. Before we get to the Notre Dame segment, everybody out there that's watching, if you could hit the like and subscribe button for us and help us grow this show, that would be great. Hitting
Absolutely.
that
Like,
and turn on the bell notifications as well. We normally go Monday and Wednesday is when we are live. And if you're watching on Twitter, come on over to YouTube and join the chat. We'd like to answer some questions every now and then. So
absolutely.
Notre Dame again against a MAC opponent is favored by 4 touchdowns.
You got to get this one right. You got to go out there. You got to show it. I'm not nervous. I think they'll go out. Miami, Ohio is not nearly as good as Northern Illinois. Not that Northern Illinois was anywhere near good enough to beat Notre Dame, but you got to go out there and show it. It's becoming a stain on Marcus Freeman's career at this point, where he loses to teams that he shouldn't lose to, and then he beats up on teams every other week. So we'll see. I mean, favored by 28. They have to go out and redeem themselves. This one has to. You thought last week was like a get back. Like, all right, we have to show everybody that we're not fucking terrible. And they did. They won 66-7. They went out and they put it on a bad Purdue team. And they really, showed, all right, we're more legit than we showed last week. But we saw that in week 1 too. They went out and beat a Texas A&M team that people think might be pretty good, and then they had a letdown week. So after you just won 66-7, after you just went out and showed that you aren't as fraudulent as people thought you were, well, now you got to follow it up with another performance like that. Like I'm talking, I want a 70-0 win.
Yes, Notre Dame needs consistency. 70 points, that's a high bar.
Absolutely, but
I'm actually
Miami's going to stop them.
I am actually leaning the other way on this one. I think Miami of Ohio covers the 4 touchdowns.
That's a bad deal. Here's the thing. I don't care about, like, I care about gambling when I do it, but like, if you don't cover, it doesn't bother me. Like, the main thing you got to do is win the games. The problem for Marcus is that he didn't do that, right? He lost when he shouldn't have. So now you have to cover every week. You have to go out, because you know the saying, good teams win, great teams cover. So if you're favored by 4 touchdowns, you better go win by fucking 4 touchdowns. Because if Vegas thinks you're that much better, you got to show everybody you actually are.
And I think the Gilbert kid can sling it.
Yeah, he's going on.
That is something that's concerning to me, and plus,
but this secondary is legit. I mean, Northern Illinois didn't beat them by throwing it around. Like that's I don't have a problem with the secondary. What they have to do, and it's going to be tough because the O-line is beating the fuck up right now.
Yes.
They got to go out and they got to impose their will on a team. They got to run the ball down their throats. And Riley Leonard needs to show me that he can actually play quarterback, because I haven't seen it in any game. He still doesn't have a passing touchdown. 3 weeks into the season, no passing touchdowns. Like, go out there and make a play.
Do you think he gets a passing touchdown this week?
No. I don't know if he gets a passing touchdown before. I honestly don't know when he gets a passing touchdown at this point.
Yeah.
The past 2 weeks, I mean, this week should be his best opportunity. This is probably the worst team they've played all year. But I don't see it. The guy can't throw it downfield at all. He's inept at downfield throws. Absolutely inept.
All right, let's unpack this real quick. Like I said, Northern Illinois week on that Saturday show that we did.
Mm-hmm.
If you let this team hang around and you do not have a clean game, and you have a bunch of penalties and you have bad special teams, do not be shocked if going into halftime, it's a close game.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You just, if you're Notre Dame, you can't let that happen. Like, you just can't. It's you've burned your get out of jail free card. It's already gone. Now at this point, you have no conference championship fighting for. All you have is style points and winning the games in front of you. So you have to win every game from here until November 20, whatever. And you have to look pretty damn good doing it. Now, you can have close games with USC. You can have a close game with Louisville or whatever. But when it comes time to go out and face a Miami of Ohio, which is a far lesser team than what you are, you need to go out and dominate. Like, you can't have bad losses and close wins versus bad opponents. They're not going to put you in the playoffs. And if you don't get in the playoffs this year, you shouldn't have a job.
I agree 100%. And so it is a concerns for Riley Leonard. If it does not start out well, do you think they make the switch to Angeli?
I hope so. I mean, I saw last week that Angeli can at least throw the ball.
Yeah, forward pass game's a hell of an invention.
Yeah, and if Riley Leonard goes out, it's close. He can't move the ball. I don't care that they're paying him a $1.2 million or whatever. I don't care. That money's already spent. Like, put the guy in that gives you the best. Unless you don't care about your job. If you don't care about being the head coach of Notre Dame, then continue to ride with Riley Leonard. Let him go out there and win 17-14 and look terrible doing it, and just go about your business. But in my mind, if he looks inept at quarterback, which he does, he looks like a quarterback that is mediocre at best and doesn't have the skill players around him to make him look better. So I would put the guy in that can make his skill players look better. I would put the guy in that can throw the ball downfield. I'd put the guy in that can throw the ball into coverage in a contested situation and put it where only his guy can get it. And I haven't seen that from Riley Leonard once. So put Angeli in, put Minchie in, put Carr in. I don't care. But if Riley Leonard goes out and looks the way he's looked the first 3 weeks, I don't see the point in continuing to push him on people. Like, I just don't see it. He's not going to ever be a good passing quarterback. He's never been one. It's not going to happen. That's okay. He's good at what he does. He's a really good athlete. He's a great running quarterback. He just doesn't elevate your offense enough to make up for the lack of skill around him.
Right. And I just don't think running the quarterback 15 times a game is sustainable. He's not built for it.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, he's 6'4", 215 pounds. He's not Will Howard. That's 6'4", 250.
Yeah.
Or
well, and he has a history of injuries, so it's only a matter of time.
And the shoulder's banged up.
Yep.
And so we'll see. And then to round out the evening, to get everybody to Thursday night football recruiting update, Carter.
I got nothing. There's not a lot happening. Deuce Knight is still committed. Woohoo!
He's going to Auburn this weekend. So
that's okay. Well, he's still committed as of now.
So we will see. With that being said, I guess we can go ahead and end it here, Carter.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening on a Thursday night. We got football on, so let's go have a good time. Watch that. I got to put these kids to bed anyways.
Yep, and we should be back sometime on Saturday. Hopefully we can fit it in before the Miami of Ohio game. We'll be doing a little more in-depth look at Miami of Ohio than we did here tonight. So with that being said, everybody have a wonderful evening. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button for us and help us out. we're trying to grow the channel. So with that being said, everybody have a good night.